What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Raised.
Massimo and Laura will finally return this year in the sequel to 365 Days. But this time, they'll have to deal with bizarre issues. Let's go through every detail we know about the anticipated continuation, shall we? Release date: almost 2 years after its premiere, the anticipation for the sequel to Massimo and Laura's story grow bigger and bigger. The list for Netflix's list of new movies and TV shows arriving in April 2022 has been released, with no sign of 365 Days 2. Sadly, this means that we won't be able to watch the film soon. But that doesn't mean that the project is off the list of films that will air this year. The 2020 Polish flick, directed by Białowąs and Tomasz Mandes, and based on the first novel of a trilogy by Blanka Lipińska, is still in development. And since the first film came to Netflix in June 2020, after theatrically released in Poland on February 7, 2020, we can assume that the sequel will air this summer. The third installment is also in the works, so there's a lot to look forward to. To follow up to the steamy film had a bumpy road, with it initially planned to start filming in August 2020 in Sicily, but sadly, the ongoing pandemic stood in its way, so the film had to be delayed, just like every other project in the film industry. According to the deadline, filming was set to start in May 2021, with the sequel and the third part shooting back-to-back. The sequel is filmed in Poland and Italy, but it seemed like the creators needed more time to start production, finally, and according to most reports, filming began on June 29, 2021 in Warsaw, Mazowiecki, Poland. Netflix's subscriber became obsessed with 365 Days, with the film spending weeks on Netflix's top 10 list. With such an addictive story, a perfect cast ensemble, a fan-favorite couple, and of course, lots of shocking plot twists, a follow-up of the film was guaranteed. According to a report made by the Netflix Daily Update Facebook page, 365 Days 2 will be released on Netflix in June 2022. But this is yet to be confirmed. And once we receive an official announcement, you'll be the first one to know about it. Cast members, new additions. The 50 Shades of Grey descendant left us with more questions than answers, since there was a huge cliffhanger at the end of the film. As you already know, the car that Laura is riding in enters a tunnel, but we never see it come out the other side. After her loved one discovers what happened, he crashes down, and a police car stops at the entrance of the tunnel. There are not a lot of fans who have read the novels before watching the film, so it's normal if once you finish the film you were like, what the hell just happened? Well, since there are 2 more additional films, Laura is very much alive in the sequel. But that doesn't mean we're about to see her and Massimo living the happily ever after we are all hoping for. So, which cast members are confirmed to come back for the follow-up? Thankfully, the male lead, Michele Morrone, announced that he'll return to reprise his role. Morrone plays Massimo, the mafia leader with Stockholm Syndrome affection. Massimo would have been nothing without Anna Marie Sieklucka's Laura, so the actress is also expected to return. Magdalena Lamparska will also be back as Olga, Laura's friend, and most of the cast you saw in the first film will have to appear in the second one. But as already mentioned, the sequel will be much more complicated than the first film, with a new addition that is expected to completely change the course of Massimo and Laura's journey. We are referring to Simone Suzina. We'll talk about his character a bit later in the video. When it comes to the crew behind the camera, the film is co-written by Blanka Lipińska, who also worked on the first installment. Białowąs and Tomasz Mandes, who directed the first movie, will also direct part 2. From Laura's dead dog sent in a package to a love triangle that will break Massimo and Laura forever, here's what will happen in the sequel. Plot. Once you see what happens in the sequel of 365 Days, the cliffhanger at the end of the first film is not that shocking. Laura's survival is, as already mentioned, guaranteed. And in the second book, she and Massimo turn a new page in their lives, meaning that they focus entirely on their relationship. They get married after she tells him that she's pregnant. And this is when we meet Marcelo Nacho Matos, the character played by Suzina. And the story of the first film repeats, only this time Marcello kidnaps Laura. But that's not the worst thing that happens in the follow-up. Laura develops feelings for Nacho as well. Yeah, we hope Netflix will not include this storyline. There are also other things that we are not ready to see, including some really messed up scenes featuring Laura and her baby, Massimo's twin brother, which is likely to be portrayed by Michele Morrone, and well, the fact that Laura and Massimo are not meant to end up together after all. But according to Deadline, Netflix might go with its own original story, which will differ a lot when compared to the novel. This way, the film will be much more enjoyable, don't you think so? Shocking events. The previous events were just an opening. Wow. Let's get into as many details as possible, shall we? In case you need a reminder of what exactly happened in the first film, here you go. Massimo kidnapped Laura and told her that she has 365 days to fall in love with him. He also promised not to touch her during those 365 days, but since Laura develops feelings for him, she initiates a steamy relationship. After she confesses her feelings towards the mafia leader, a rival mafia member threatens to kill Laura in a war between the two families. We already know that Laura is alive and expected to fall in love with another guy in the sequel, but how bad is their story in the follow-up? What kind of guy is Massimo? Is he what he claimed to be in the first film? Let's find out. The one thing we're certain is that we haven't seen the last of Laura. She will definitely be the lead female in the third film, but let's talk about the second book named Tanzane, which means this day. This book starts off with Massimo being the hero while saving his pregnant girlfriend before they tie the knot in a very luxurious wedding. And as already confirmed, this is where the other guy comes in and screws things up for the newly wedded couple. Once she falls in love with this new guy, Massimo tries everything, literally everything, to win his beloved one back. Oh, and the child she has yet to give birth to. In the end, they are sadly not together. This is where the events of the third book, Kolejne 365 DNI, meaning another 365 days, come in. In this book, Massimo needs to make a difficult decision. He is forced to choose between Laura and their unborn child. If he chooses Laura, he will have to convince his loved one that she lost her child naturally. Damn, that is messed up. Massimo saves Laura, and once they get together, they simply can't continue their lives. Both of them are incredibly broken by the loss, but that doesn't exclude the constant lovemaking. They are doing it everywhere, literally. It's like a coping mechanism. Anyway, after dealing with such a loss, Massimo and Laura have an awful life together, with Massimo doing plenty of awful things to her, including the previously mentioned dog massacre. For now, a third film is not confirmed, but since both films were shot back to back, it's just a matter of time until Netflix makes an announcement. On a related note, what are your hopes for 365 Days 2? Would you rather see an original sequel that has fewer events based on the novel? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel and you'll never miss any of our videos in the future. As always, thanks for watching.